Hello everybody, my name is Petri Dobi. I'm Associated Professor at Agriculture University of Tirana and expert in rural development with a long experience in implementing geographic indications in Albania. This lecture is one of the lectures of the module Certification of Organic Products and Geographic Indications and follows the lectures prepared and delivered by my colleague Roland Bardi. In this lecture we'll talk about definition of the specific quality of the product, delimitation of the production area, building an organization to manage the GI system, about code of practice and control plan, etc. What do you mean with the term specific quality product? Extracted a definition from a publication that FAO made in 2010. It's called Linking People, Places and Products. The definition of production process and the characteristics aims to define the specific quality links to geographic origin. The characteristics must reflect the common heritage, taking into account the basic product and its variants, which are possible to label with the GI. The challenge for actors involved in the system is to agree on common practices while allowing space for individual innovations. Therefore, setting the right common rules is a complex matter because of the coexistence of different technologies and different quality levels of a GI product. When establishing which is the main document for the GI, the first step is to define what makes the GI products different from the others. What makes it so famous? What is the basic of objective characteristics, raw materials and processing method? So the description includes several elements, which are raw materials. What kind of materials are specific for our products, our GI? Physical characteristics. What are characteristics as shape, appearance, or a test that are specific for these products? Chemical composition, for example, could be different from the others. Microbiological composition and processes. Organoleptic, as I mentioned before, etc. The first step of this process is the inventory of resources and what does it mean? So let's give some examples. In case of animal products, we should identify which are specific species and breeds that directly link with these products. Sometimes it's a specific breed that makes this product very special. Sometimes they are feeding specifics. Could be the composition of pastures, of different food, different animals, or different ways of feeding them. But also it's important the processing conditions. Do we mean with processing conditions? This could be the temperature of the milk of or other, let's say, products of processing process. Could be the humidity, the timing, etc. In case of vegetal products, we also need to identify which are specific plants, species, and varieties, especially when these are directly linked with the quality of the product. Also, soil and climate conditions could be very important to be identified. They play a role in creating these specific characteristics of the product. Another important element is traditional practices and know-how. Could be traditional directly link with the quality of products. Sometimes they do, sometimes not. But this link very much with the territory and with the people who develop this product. The second step is to manage product heterogeneity. Inside one GI, we may have some fluctuation. We may have more than one specific product. I mean, it is under one name, but we may have some varieties of these products that depends on the way we process or the way we produce it, which are only some fluctuations of the main characteristics. So both products, or could be even three, have the same territory, the same characteristics of the product, they keep the same name, but they may have some variations, some subtypes, let's say. Uh, to understand better this, I'm giving an example. So in one area, when we have animals that pasture during the summer and they are staying in the stable during the winter, we may have two types of cheeses. One coming from the animals producing during pasture season, and one produced during winter season, uh, which is produced by animals using different food resources. Another different type of cheeses can be produced according to ripening time. So there are some cheeses that needs 3 months to be ripened, but we may have some other, let's say, products under the same GI where we apply ripening time of 6 to 9 months. So example of this is the cheese Tête de Moine in Switzerland. It is one type of cheese, same name, the same territory, the same main criteria to produce it, but we have first the main product is only 3 months ripened, and the other type is more mature cheese with a ripening period of 6 to 9 months. Another important element of GI building process is delimitation of production area. And we'll explain what is the territory, what is reputation and history. We will talk about GI name and territory and give some examples. You know, Bordeaux, it's the name of territory. Parma, it's the name of area in Italy. And also we'll talk about the criteria and the method to define these boundaries. So, what is the territory? Why we give so importance to the territory? Of course, to define a territory should be used several criteria. The main criteria to define the territory are listed here. So first we start with physical criteria. We should be sure that the territory is more or less unique for its soil composition, for the climate, for the topography, etc. Also, we should take in account that in the territory we'll define as territory linked with these GI products. Local practices are the same. So, conditions of cultivation, for example, are the same. Varieties and species are the same. Harvesting practices are the same. Processing practices are the same. Also, with the territory links the history of production and the reputation. But also the territory is the area when users are working and are building this GI. The product can be identified by geographic names, for example, Bordeaux or Parma for Parma ham. So the product can be identified sometimes by words or symbols that links clearly with a specific territory. Sometimes the product can be identified by another name, could be a name of mountain, could be name of a village. in the territory. When the interprofessional body decides for the name, should take in account which is the most known name, which is the name linked with the reputation of the product. So it doesn't mean that the GI name should fit with the territory, exactly with the territory. It can be part of the territory that use this name. GI, on the other side, cannot have the name of the breed, because even the breed originates in a specific territory. This breed can be spread beyond the territory, and then it makes problems in preserving a GI name by the owners of GI. So, for this reason, it is not allowed to use the name of the breed. But if the name of the breed comes from a specific territory, then you can use it. So at the end, we have to define boundaries, but which criteria we should use? Really, there is no one-size-fits-all solution. So it's a process, and this process should involve all stakeholders, producers, old and young, processors, wholesalers, and other stakeholders linked with the product and territory. So to understand which is the boundaries we should apply for this product, we should have meetings, focus groups with different interest groups, to involve social groups that have passed the practices from one generation to another. But also we have to discuss with other institutions that are interested in developing this GI. So all the actors that in one way or another are connected with the GI should be consulted. In this table we see main criteria we should apply to define boundaries of geographic indication territory. So ecological setting is one of the main criteria, and regards, let's say, the information we should collect from the soil analysis, from landscape study, ecology of the area, in order to define a map that directly links with these ecological settings that affect the product specific quality. Know-how is another main criteria. So in this case, what we should do is to make an inventory of know-how, especially through interviewing producers, mainly old producers who have transmitted this know-how from one generation another, and identify these elements of know-how that makes this product specific. The history of production is also very important. So we should see if the history links with the same territory since a long time ago for generation, or it have been in one territory and then expanded to a larger territory. So for this purpose we need to make an investigation, to interview people, to collect documents that are geographic names and cookbooks, references, novels, stories, etc. The fourth criteria is production stages and economic situation. We need to explore which are part of the supply chain inside the territory, which are outside the territory, which are boundaries of the main territory that keeps this production in traditional ways. We have to discuss with different parts of supply chain, cross-check different maps, and consider different stakeholders. This is very important even to decide what type of GI we have to develop. It will be PDO and PGI, but I'll show this later on. The fifth criteria is social network, and of course we should see if the consistent group of GI is in a specific territory or no. Sometimes territory has different social networks and different groups, and the possibility to participate in GI is not the same. So for this we have to make consultation participative meeting with stakeholders. Another is an existing zoning. What do we mean with existing zoning? This refers to a place such as a geographic or administrative area that have a history of working together. It's very important to keep in mind that administrative territory are also to take in account when we decide for zoning, for boundaries, because this linked also sometimes with local taxes and with some fiscal incentives that affect, let's say, competition of producers in the market. So, applying different criteria, so we may have different maps, and each map is different from the other maps. So we have to find which is the best map possible for the boundaries of the territory. And of course, this is a kind of compromise between different criteria. But before deciding which is the final map, we should take in account also, are we going to produce a PDO or PGI? What are the differences have been explained by my colleague in the previous lecture, but I want to emphasize two criteria. The production steps. So in case of PDO, all the production stages should take place within the territory, and all ingredients should normally originate from the delimited area, except secondary ones like salt, for example. And in case of PGI, at least the most important step of the production takes place within this area. So we completed the first part of the lecture. Please follow the second part of the lecture.